So here with day 4. So I want to tell you guys, so I've given you guys a lot of information over the last 4 or 5 weeks. I mean, a lot. It's been I think it's been pretty jam-packed. What do you guys think? So have you guys liked it this far? This so far? Well, this is the last week. Have you liked the first 3 weeks? So now weeks 1, 2, and 3, for you guys that have missed it, I'm gonna just recap real quick. We talked about the mindset of an expired, what these people are thinking about, what's going through their head. Hey Julianne, hey Ken. So we talked about what's going through their head, what they're thinking about, what they're doing, um, and all those fun things. Okay, we talked about why properties expire, and I hope you guys got that, because here's the thing, like, properties don't just expire because of price. There's lots of other reasons. Those recordings are available if you guys want them. They're going to be free to you guys. And I think that especially for newer agents that haven't been in the business very long, there's a misconception that people think that properties expire because they're overpriced. But that's usually that. Honestly, that's like not it nowadays. Lots of times, the first week we talked about 7 reasons most agents fail, and they're really things that we can overcome pretty easy. I tell you, I feel like scripts. Gosh, week 2, we went over scripts. We went over everything you can do with scripts. If you guys are having trouble with scripts, having trouble with your phone calls, having trouble with people just aren't responding the way you want to respond, go back and listen to day 2, because there's a lot of good stuff in there for you guys. So number 5, I gave you guys some tips, and I gave you guys some things for overcoming fear, getting on the phone, setting your goals, reviewing those goals daily, having rituals set around your day, and making calls. And number 6, what happens at a listing appointment and what happens before the listing appointment. I think before the listing appointment is actually more important than what happens at the listing appointment, because here's the thing. If you can set up everything where you're overcoming the objections before coming in the door, how powerful is that, right? And that's what I showed you guys how to do last week. I showed you guys how to overcome common objections, and I showed you guys a follow-up script formula that I use. I use a little more detail in my group coaching, but I use it in my group coaching when I'm helping you guys. And today's call is going to be, for some of you guys that are listening, there was my group coaching. Some of this is stuff we talked about this morning. We talked about it really, really in depth. So hopefully through this that you have those tools and you have everything put together, right? You at least got a good idea and some direction on where you're expired in your calls and prospecting business needs to go, what to do. You got a fairly good understanding of things. What to do with RedX. RedX is still, I think today is the last day they offer you the special for becoming becoming an expired master. They got a special they're offering all you guys. Call them today if you haven't got it set up. It's the best deal I've ever seen them do. So now tools. So hopefully by this point, we've talked about pre-listing package, and I've told you guys how important that is. And I truly believe that's one of the most important things that you can have is your pre-listing package. I think that's the number one tool. 14 years doing real estate, when I discovered a pre-listing package and I discovered how to put it together, that was the number one tool that I had in my toolbox, right? You learn about net sheets, how to put it together. There's one in the file section. That's an example of mine. Pricing strategy. We talked about pricing strategy. My book, How to Be a FSBO Master, is also in the file section. You're welcome to look at that book, and I go over my pricing strategy in detail, but I went over it last week. And you guys know how important the paperwork is, knowing your paperwork and knowing how to properly present it, right? So hopefully you guys have all that, and you guys have my scripts. I posted them kind of periodically. They're in the file section. If you go back through Becoming a FSBO Master, I got 7 or 8 scripts in there for you. And so you really have everything. Have I missed anything? And you can let me know. It's okay. Sometimes, every now and then, I've been doing this for years. Every now and then, sometimes I'll leave something out. If I've missed something for you, please send me a message and let me know. But then you've got the scripts. So now the thing we have to do, and this is the number one thing that agents don't do. They come to something, they do a program like this, and you guys, I mean, I'll tell you, that first call is 300 people on it. This call, it looks like there's about 50. And that's how it typically is. You guys have struggled through, and you guys have made it to the end. And gosh, I think replays, we got like another thousand, and it's pretty amazing. But now the thing we have to do with expireds, and the thing we have to do now, is we have to take action. Because if we don't take action, I mean, here's the thing, guys. I've had fun with you guys. It's been really exciting. I've got a ton of feedback. I've got a lot of good things about it. I've heard a lot of great feedback about my training and stuff. But if we don't take action, then we wasted 5-6 hours together, right? So, and the thing that I think that we have to do is we have to take massive action. And there's one thing I'm gonna lay out a plan with you guys, and I'd like for you guys to make a commitment to me, right? I've given you guys all of the tools to go out and list expireds, right? In this 1 week, I'm gonna lay out this plan for you guys. It's gonna be basic, but I guarantee you that this 1 week will change your business, probably change your life. Will you guys commit to just 1 week for me, right? If you're on Zoom, raise your hand on Zoom. If you're on Facebook, do the thumbs up thing. Commit to 1 week. Can you guys give me 1 week? If I guarantee you that 1 week will change your life if you do what I'm telling you to do. Can you do that for me? I got most of you. I got a lot of you. Who makes what real estate coach out there tells you things like this? If I can guarantee that I could change your business, would you commit to 1 week for me? 1 week starting, let's say starting from tomorrow, right? Or, we can say next week, but I think we need to take action now. Do you guys agree with that? I think take action like when we hang up the phone, basically. When we hang up this call. Do you guys agree with that? I think you need to take action now. Take action while, iron's hot, everything's fresh in your mind. Just got off a great call. Once we finish up the webinar, just get started. And it's not going to be hard because I'm going to lay it all out for you because I don't want you even to have to think about it. So, so here's the thing. You guys have already told me you're going to commit. I got a slide. I got a PowerPoint slide ahead of myself. 1 week of massive action. So here's the thing I want you guys to do. I know that you guys got a great deal, and I heard that a lot of you guys Michael's going to give me 2 weeks, dude. If you give me 2 weeks, Jesus Christ, you're going to have like an amazing March and April, right? The work we're doing today is going to pay off like 30 to 60 days from now. That's when you're going to start like getting contracts, getting checks. Okay. So step 1, you guys need to call Red X Tech Support. Have them walk you through, if you haven't already done it, have them walk you through getting all the expireds and all the for sale owners from 2017 until today. Okay? Because you want them all, because you want to have, if we're going to take massive action, we have to have a massive amount of leads. And here's the thing. Okay, if you guys, and a lot of you guys, like, depending on the market you're in, when you get all the expireds and all the for sale owners that they have, you're probably going to start with anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 leads, depending on your market. Some of you guys might get 750, 800. Some of you guys might get 3,000, right? But if you get all their leads, right? If you do the special, you get expired, you get for sale owners, and you get $1. So there's no real excuse there. And they're giving you a great deal on it. And they're waiving the $150 setup fee. So, okay, so now that's step number 1. Step number 2 is gather up any other seller leads that you might have. I want you to get everybody, right? I want you to get everybody. If you talk to your cousin 6 months ago and maybe they wanted to sell their house, now it's time they need to get it on the market. Okay. But yeah, you need all of your leads. Anyone you talk to about selling their house and you have their contact information, gather them up, get them all together. Okay, number three, I want you to set up your schedule and I want you to call every single lead that you've got. Every single expired, every single for sale owner. I didn't tell you this massive action thing. It isn't easy, but it's massive action. Nobody else is going to do it, right? And if you do this, guys, what's going to happen? Let's say, for example, if you got 2,000 leads in your market, and I think a lot of you guys are going to have a lot, 1,500, 2,000. It's depending on the market. But if you have 2,000 leads for your MLS in your market, I think you should call your entire MLS, right? I see a lot of agents, they go, oh, well, that's not my market. And they picked an area that's 4 blocks. Come on. It's kind of dumb, actually. Call your whole market. I see a lot of agents go, I don't want to call. I only want to call things that are $500,000 up. And honestly, if they look at their market, they don't even have a market that's $500,000 and up, So it's unrealistic. Call them all. Call them all. And I'm going to give you the script so you don't even have to worry about that. I'm going to give you the script. I'm going to explain a couple other things to you that's happening right now. So guys, so something's happening right now in the market, and it's February, and this is a good time that we've done this. And we didn't really plan on this. So guys from Red X, if you're listening to this, we didn't even talk about this before we done it. But this fourth call is falling on a time in the year that is an amazing time for you to call, because here's the biggest thing that's happening. There's a lot of buyers out there, first-time home buyers, that are getting their taxes done. February 1st, they can start filing, and they're going to be filing tax returns, getting returns back. Some of them are getting money. Some of them just need the tax return filed, right? Some of them need that extra, $2,000-3,000 for the down payment, closing costs. Some of them need to pay down a credit card. Some of them need just the paperwork to show their income, right? Some of these loan programs requiring 2 years of income or whatever your lender requires. I don't know what it seems like. Different financing programs are available in different markets, But some people just need the forms and stuff filed so that they can buy. Some of them need the actual money that they may get if they get a regular W-2 job, or they get tax returns. That isn't us here in the real estate business, it seems. But regular people, regular jobs, So this February script. Now, I got a question. I want to talk about it right now. If you go back that far, I want a lot of them be listed and sold. Now, there are a lot of them that will be relisted. There are a lot of them that will be resold. Now, the ones that are relisted, there's nothing we can do about it. The ones that have sold, there's nothing we can do about it. But if we don't go through the data, if we don't get the data, we're never going to know, right? And there's going to be, I'll tell you, this is typically what I've seen in my market over the last 14 years. A third of them relist right away. A third of them relist with another agent. A third of them, and then relisting that other agent, that might be 2 days, might be 2 weeks, might be 2 months. Who knows? Then that other third, nothing really ever happens to them. Who knows what happens to that other third? So there's going to be, like, out of all those expireds, there's going to be, usually, about half of them have done nothing in most markets. For sale owners are kind of funky. Some of them, put it right back, listed with an agent. Some of them didn't. Some of them holding out, just hoping for the best. Some of them, their ad expired off Craigslist and they gave up. Who knows what happens with some of them. Some of them never answered their phone. Never answered their phone when they were running ads. So your February old for sale owner and expired script. Now, this is really easy, and I want you guys to stick as close to the script as you possibly can, because there's a couple of reasons, and I'm going to explain it to you. But Mr. and Mrs. Seller, my name's Jason Morris, and I work with XYZ Realty. I'm calling you because right now in our market, we have a lot of buyers getting tax returns. The lenders we work with also have financing programs that your home would qualify for. Our company's selling a lot of houses. Do you still want to sell yours, or should I take you off of my list? Okay, you're telling them two things here. Now, we all know, being in the real estate business, we all know that They typically, if you're using more of the first-time homebuyer programs, whether it's FHA or USDA, VA, things like that, we know that not only does the buyer have to qualify, but the home has to qualify. The condition of the home has to meet certain criteria. It has to be basically livable, you know? So our company's selling a lot of houses. Do you still want to sell yours? So you're telling them that, hey, if we have a buyer and your house qualifies, we got lenders we work with that can make that happen. Our company's selling a lot of houses. You can say, I sell a lot of houses. You know, Mr. Seller, I sell a lot of houses, right? However, I know a lot of you guys are newer in the business. Some of you guys, are newer to making calls. Some of you guys, previously have went after buyers. I think that if you're in that situation where you've never sold a lot of property in your market, you've never sold a lot of listings, or you don't have much going on, or you're trying to jumpstart your business, whatever it is, I think we need to talk about what our company's doing over what we're doing, because hopefully our company as a whole is doing a lot better than we are individually. And here's the thing, nobody that wants to sell their house wants to get taken off the list, So, but that script's really, really basic. And we'll get to it in just a second. What do they say if they say, hey, we want to sell their house? Okay. So now I'm going to tell you, there's going to be 5 things that will happen. I guarantee you these 5 things will happen. And I'm telling you guys all this because for the next week, I don't want you to have to think. I just want you to do what I tell you to do. Is that cool? Do you guys like that, where you just don't have to think? You just go out there and do, and then look at the results at the end, 5 things that are going to happen guaranteed. Number 1, some people will say they want to sell their house. And if they say they want to sell their house, you continue with the regular script that's in the file section, and you set an appointment ASAP in the conversation. We'll get to that in just a minute. But some people are going to tell you, you're going to have a certain number of people that just by chance are going to go, yep, I want to sell my house. And then you say, well, that's fantastic. Can I meet you Tuesday at 2? And they go, actually, Tuesday at 2 works perfect. You're going to have a certain number of people that are going to just tell you that. And hey, that's fantastic, So number 2, some people are going to say they don't want to sell their house anymore. And that's okay, because you know what? It's happening in a lot of markets right now. It's the market's going up to a point where some people are they'd like to sell their house because they can get more money now for it than they could ever get before. But the problem is, if they sell their house today, the problem is they can't really find somewhere else they want to live for the same amount of money. You know what I mean? And I think that's happened to a lot of people. If they say they don't want to sell their house, hey, just throw them over to the side, call them back again next month, right? Some are going to ask, do you have a buyer? Or they're going to use the famous number 1 seller response that's not really an objection. They're going to say, if you're bringing me a buyer, I'll pay you 3%. That's my favorite objection. Or when they ask, do you have a buyer? Oh man, if they ask me that, hey, do you have a buyer? There's one thing we know for sure. They're already willing to work with me. We just got to negotiate the terms and commission rates, right? If they ask me if we get a buyer, or say, hey, we need, they say, hey, do you have a buyer? Or, hey, I'll pay you 3% if you bring us a buyer. That's the only thing we're doing. We're just negotiating the terms of our listing agreement and the commission they're going to pay us. That's it. Number 4, some are not going to answer, and you're going to need to leave a voicemail, and I'm going to even give you the voicemail that you leave. Number 5, some are probably going to hang up on you. Some are going to go, basically they're going to get on the phone. They're going to go, rah, 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 rah. I don't like realtors. I don't like real estate agents. Don't call me back. But here's the thing. They're not going to recognize you when you go out to dinner this weekend. They're not going to recognize you in Walmart or the grocery store later on. They're not going to drive to their office, and they're not going to beat you up or eat you through the phone. So if they hang up on you, hey, so be it. Honestly, call them back next week, and they're not going to remember you anyway. They're not angry at you. They're angry at the situation they're in. That's all. So, guys, do you have a buyer? I think this is a fantastic script. here. This is a script that you need to use and you need to practice this. So the seller says, hey, Chris, do you have a buyer? Your response is, I'm calling you because I can sell your house. We're working with a lot of buyers in your price range and area, Mr. Seller. However, I don't know if we have one specifically for your house because as of this call, we don't have it on the market. I'd like to set an appointment with you for Tuesday at 2. You name the day and time to see if your home would work for our marketing. I got a typo in there, guys. See if your home would work for our marketing. Okay, so the thing is about this is you're doing a little bit of a level shift on them because all of a sudden you're going, well, I don't know if we have a buyer for you. I need to see if your home's going to work for us. Because, hey, Mr. Seller, your home might not work for us, right? That's your response. Now, some sellers are going to go, oh, we've heard this from agents before, but you're really being upfront for them. There's a lot of buyers in your market. If they're not looking, they're going to be looking in the next 30 days when they get their money, when they get their taxes done. There's a ton of buyers, especially that price range in your market, this first-time home buyer type stuff. So there are a lot of buyers looking, and there are a lot of buyers looking in that price range. I guarantee you there are homes selling in this price range. Yeah, I guarantee you there are agents in your office and agents that you co-broke with in MLS that do have a buyer for houses like his in his price range. However, as of today, his house is not on the market. That's why you're calling him. You're wanting to see if he wants to still sell it and if it's something that would work with your marketing, right? Now, I believe that you have to name the date and time. You have to name the date and time because if you don't, what's going to happen if you say, oh, well, Mr. Seller, I'd like to come take a look at your house. What time works for you? They're going to go, well, I don't know. I got to talk to my wife and I'll call you back. And they will never call you back. Okay, it's just the way life works. You created that objection for yourself. I mean, that's it. I mean, that's probably the number one objection that we create. That's why we need to use scripts, guys. If you stick to the script, you stick to the questions, you stick to that focused conversation, you're not going to create new objections for yourself. And that's a great thing. Tommy said, well, what did they say? If you're working with all these buyers, why do I need to list? Just bring them to me. I don't want to list your house, man. I want to sell your house. But here's the thing. I don't bring a buyer to your house without a written agreement because, hey, that's just the way it is. I can't blame it on your broker. My broker won't let me bring a buyer to someone's house where we don't have a written agreement. But, I mean, as of right now, as of this phone call, Tommy, hey, we don't know if we really got a buyer for your house. Your house might look like crap, Your house might not work for what we're doing. And a lot of this is about posture. We talked about that during the script call the other week. I think that was day 2. We talked about posture. And a lot of agents, when the seller all of a sudden, they feel like that the seller is on a pedestal above them. And that's not necessarily the truth. The mindset that I've always had when I'm calling sellers is the seller benefits more from working with me than I benefit from working with the seller. This seller that wants to sell his house, if that seller goes into your marketing program, right, he's going to get exposed to a lot of people. He's going to get exposed to a lot of buyers. He's going to be able to move up, move down, get rid of the mortgage payment, whatever he's wanting to do. His problem that's causing him to sell his house is going to be solved. Now, in return, you get a couple of points commission. You get a check out of it. Yeah, you do make some money, right? But the seller is benefiting more from the relationship than you are. And a lot of agents don't understand that. There are so many people in your market. I had an agent tell me the other day, they said, oh, well, for us to get more business, we have to take business from somebody else. That's a horrible mindset to have. These are sellers that are sitting out there wanting to sell their house that are not working with an agent. There is not a limited amount of business in your market. You getting a listing does not take a listing from another agent. They were not gonna work with that agent anyway, because if they were gonna work with them, their house would be listed with them on the market already, right? I tell people this story all the time. Me and Laura worked side by side, literally in an office that was like 10 by 10, 10 by 12 for like 3 years, literally calling the same expireds, same for sale by owners, using Red X's system. And over the course of a year, I want to say we probably listed 125 properties between the two of us. During that time, we went on the same appointment with 3 different sellers out of I don't know how many listing appointments, but we went on 3. Literally sitting side by side, calling the same sellers, using the same. She was using my same script, using my same dialogues, listening to me talk on the phone. We only met with the same seller 3 times. Think about that. You can come and sit side by side me, and you can call every day. And some people are going to do better on the phone with. Some people are going to like your voice. They're going to like your accent a little bit better. Some people are going to say, oh man, Jason's really arrogant. Some people are going to say, oh man, some people don't want to be told the truth, and that's the truth, Some people want to be told the truth by somebody different, and it's just the fact of life. But a lot of this is about posturing, a lot about your mindset, right? Don't forget that. So voicemail, some people aren't going to answer the phone. So when they don't answer the phone, you want to leave a really, really basic voicemail, because honestly, nobody listens to 2 or 3 minute voicemails. Nobody listens to 2 or 3 minute voicemails, and you're not going to list the home on a voicemail. That's a fact. The voicemail, all it is if you leave enough voicemails, you're going to get called back. If you don't leave voicemails, you're not going to get calls back. It's that simple, right? So Mr. and Miss Seller, this is Jason Morris with XYZ Realty Company. I'm calling you about your house for sale. Can you call me back at your earliest convenience? My direct line is phone number. That number again is phone number, right? And I believe that you need to follow this voicemail script exactly like this. Don't get fancy with it. Don't change it up a lot. Here's the thing, we know, because we're in the business, that we're all running around out there in the world with our cell phones, attached to our hip, actually attached to our ear usually. And nobody really uses an office phone number. But think about this. When somebody tells you, hey, Adam, Jason Morris here. I need you to call me back at your earliest convenience. My direct number is, when you hear that phrase, you think, wow, man, this might be important. I probably need to call them back. And you do get calls back from using this voicemail script. I guarantee you, using this simple voicemail script, all you're looking for is a call back. You're not going to list their house over the phone. That's it. Okay, guys, so here's the thing. I want you guys to attempt to ask for the appointment 3 times on every call. So I see I got a couple of questions. I'm going to get to them here at the end, because I want to get through this and I don't want to get sidetracked here. Attempt to ask for an appointment 3 times on every call. Okay, so what happens with a lot of agents is they make the first call. And that first call typically goes, oh, well, can I meet you Tuesday at 2? And they say no. And then you go, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll talk to you later. Bye. Think about that. How many of you guys think that you get more appointments if you asked more than one time? The more times you ask for an appointment, the more opportunities they have to tell you yes. So here's how it goes. You say, well, Mr. Seller, can I meet you Tuesday at 2 o'clock? I want to take a look at the house. I meet you Tuesday at 2 o'clock. And they say, oh, Tuesday at 2, that won't work for me. I understand. Do you work a regular 9-to-5 job? If they say yes, you know that he can't meet you before 5. Actually, he probably can't meet you before 5:30, 6 o'clock, he or she. So your next response is, no problem. How about if I plan to come like 6:30? Gives you enough time to get home and get settled before I get there. Okay? If they tell you, no, they don't work a regular job, or no, I'm retired. You know, typically they're going to say no, and then they're going to feel like they have to give you a reason no. There's a lot of sellers that are going to feel like they have to give you a reason. Um, and sometimes they're going to say, no, I don't want to work with a realtor. Your response to that is, I understand. You do want to sell your house, though, right? I'm telling you that I can sell your house. If Tuesday won't work for you, how about Wednesday, right? So if they tell you, no, lots of times if they say no, they give you a reason. No, I can't meet you at 2 o'clock. I got a doctor's appointment. My response would be, no problem, Mr. Seller. I understand. Those things can take all day sometimes. Would Wednesday about the same time work for you, 2 o'clock? Now, here's the thing. Sometimes you'll have some of them that say, oh, well, I think it would, but I got to check with the wife. My response is always, no problem. I tell you what, I'm going to pencil you in on my schedule. And now, if there's a problem, call me back, let me know, and we'll cancel it. We'll figure out a better time. Now, but if I don't hear from you, I'm just going to show up Tuesday at 2. And you will get a lot of appointments that will go ahead and commit to that 2 o'clock based on that script. I'm going to pencil you in. If it doesn't work, you call me back, and we'll figure out a time that does. Sometimes you get a call back, you know. Now, if they tell you no again about Wednesday or about meeting them at 6:30, say, no problem. I understand how it is. I'm busy during the week. Look here, I'm going to be in your area on Saturday. I got another appointment. I like to say I've got another appointment at 1. I can meet you before or after that. Would before or after that work better for you? Okay, so and then when they commit to an appointment, if you can't get them set an appointment 3 times, hey, it's okay. You know, if you had that meaningful conversation with them, they're just not ready yet, put them on your follow-up list for next week. Okay, now if they call you back and cancel, and I mean, this happens, you know, if they call you back and cancel, it's no problem. It's really not that big of a deal, but set an appointment with them while you got them on the phone. If you don't set an appointment with them while you got them on the phone, then what will happen is you will have trouble getting them on the phone the next day. Here's what happens. Let me give you guys an example. Here's what happens to a lot of agents. The person calls them back and says, hey, Jason, we got to cancel for tomorrow. And a lot of agents go, oh, no problem. Well, I'll give you a call in the next couple of days and we'll reschedule. Why are you going to give them a call in the next couple of days when you got them on the phone right then? You know, go ahead and say, oh, you know what? Hey, no problem. I understand. How about, you know, gosh, if Tuesday won't work for you, would Thursday work better for you? How about Thursday same time? Will that work? You know, because typically if they set an appointment with you at 2 o'clock on a Tuesday or Wednesday, they can probably meet with you at 2 o'clock on Thursday too, you know, because most people have pretty much similar schedules, you know, unless they're all over the place or traveling or something. But trying to set an appointment right then. And here's the thing about people canceling on you. Lots of times agents, it's like they get this feelings are like, oh man, Mr. Seller canceled on me. Here's the thing, life things happen, you know, and it sucks. I mean, I had a friend of mine, I was supposed to get lunch with him last week. He wanted me to go to a delicious Mexican restaurant. I mean, who doesn't want to go eat Mexican food for lunch? And I wanted to go, but man, things just happened that day, and I couldn't make it, and I had to call him and cancel. I mean, believe me, I wanted to meet the guy. I want to go eat Mexican food with him. I like him. No reason in the world, just stuff got in the way, and it's one of those days. Hey, man, I just can't do it. You know, I just couldn't get there. Right? And everybody's the same way. Things have that in your life. I mean, you think about it. Have you guys ever had to cancel something that was unexpected? Right? But attempt to set the appointment again if they call you back and cancel. So what to do if you can't get them on the phone? Now, if you can't get them on the phone, number 1, you left them a voicemail. Number 2 is guys, if you've got a cell phone number, which a lot of these for sale owners, you're going to have cell phone information. A lot of them, you're going to have an email. Send them a simple text or a simple email. All it's going to say is all the text says is, hey, do you want to sell your home? Do you still want to sell your home at 123 Main Street? Now, here's the thing. Just send it simple. You're not going to list the house through a text. You're not really going to list the house through an email. But what you can do with a text or an email, you can confirm they still want to sell their house, and you can set up a time to talk with them. Then you can set the appointment. Sometimes you can set the appointment through a text, but that's a little bit tough. But the thing you can do guaranteed is you can get a good time to call them, and you can confirm whether or not they still want to sell the house. Simpler the better. One line email, one line text. I see agents that will send, I've had some of them in my group coaching that will send me a 5-page like dissertation, going, oh, this is my email that I'm sending out. And you're like, dude, I'm not going to read your email this 5 pages long. A seller's not, and I like you, and I know who you are. I mean, the seller's not going to read it for sure. If I like you and I know who you are and I'm not going to read your 5-page email, then what makes you think they're going to read it? And a lot of agents send these emails that are extremely, extremely self-serving, and they're trying to list the property through the email. This isn't the pre-appointment email. This is a general contact type email. So simple text, simple email, and don't get real fancy. You know what I mean? So 5 things I want to warn you about. 5 things I want to warn you about, and 5 that I think you need to be prepared for. Okay, this week, because I don't want you guys to have to think. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask them. That way, when we get to the question part here in just a few minutes, that I'll be happy to answer any questions you guys have about today's call, any calls this week, and but especially about this, because I want you guys to get started like right away. So 5 things I'm going to warn you about. Number 1, I hear this all the time. I have agents that message me, and they'll go, oh, people aren't answering the phone. Oh, I just can't set appointments with people. And my first question is always, how many calls have you made? Guys, 10 calls is not taking massive action. If you remember a few minutes ago, we talked about you having 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 leads, right? Depending on your market, maybe more, maybe a little bit less. You cherry picking 10 out of those because they're in the price range you like in the area you really want to work with because it's close to your house, is not taking massive action. Do you raise your hand if you understand that? Do the thumbs up. I want to make sure that I'm really, really clear on this because I get a lot of agents that don't understand what massive action is. Now, there's a lot of agents out there that they think making 10 calls is a big day, and it may be a big day for you, but it's not going to be a big day for you this coming week, right? Back in December, we did some surveys in my group coaching. Now, this was in December, and December's a busy month for a lot of people, and it's what we learned. 23.6 conversations got 1 appointment. So now, if you're calling for sale owners, that number is going to be a little bit. These numbers might be a little bit less. If you're calling expireds, it might, it's probably going to be closer to this number. But here's the thing, okay? You're probably going to do about 8 dials to get 1 person on the phone. You might do less. You might do a little bit more. It just depends on your market. But you're going to make 225 calls. Let's just say 225 calls. Or, well, 23 times 8. My math is really bad today. You're going to make 200 calls. Okay, so you're going to make 200 calls to get 1 appointment. Now, if you are not using a dialer, those 200 calls are going to take you about 3 to 4 hours. And that's you turning off Facebook, not listening to YouTube, you staying pretty focused, not taking calls from your friend, not taking calls from your significant other, you're not going to be playing around. You're going to be dialing, right? If you're using a dialer and you're using just the single line dialer, you're probably going to be able to make like 60, 70 calls an hour. Depending on conversations, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. Now, that dialer is going to keep you, Red X Storm dialer is going to keep you from procrastinating. It's going to keep you on track, and you don't have that lag. If you're dialing numbers, your finger dialing numbers, what happens to a lot of people is they dial the number, they leave the voicemail, they hang up, they sit there for 3 minutes before they dial the next number. Okay? With Storm Dialer, you just go into the next call. It's next call, next call, next call. If you're using the Storm Dialer 3-line dialer, you might be able to get through 200 calls in an hour and a half, 2 hours, just depending on how many people you get on the phone and what kind of conversations you're having, right? But I want you guys to understand 10 calls is not taking massive action. So I will, if you run into a problem, have an objection you never heard, send me a message through Facebook. I'll be glad to help you. However, if you start telling me you have these problems, the first question I'm going to ask is, how many calls have you made? So number two, conversations need to be quick. Okay, something I think that we do on the phone as real estate agents is we do the same thing with listing appointments. Most of us, if we do a disc test, most of us are fairly high D's, most of us are fairly high I's, which typically means that that we generally like talking to people. Even though deep down some of us hate people, and we don't want to go out in public unless we absolutely have to. Generally, most real estate agents typically kind of like people. Usually, we're a pretty social bunch. If you don't believe me, look at the happy hours and stuff that we have at some of these offices and associations. Man, you can't get an agent on the phone to show their listing, but you can bet that if the local realtor association's having a happy hour on Thursday, they will be there, right? But your conversations need to be quick. The purpose of your conversation is to set an appointment. You're only looking for a couple things. You want to know, do they still want to sell their house? How soon would they like to sell their house? What price do they want? What condition? And can we see the house on Tuesday? That's the thing. That's what you want to know about. You don't need to know their cat's name, and if they're moving, are they going to take their dog with them? Some of these scripts and some of these stuff that I see coaches put out there and have their agents using are insane. You know what I mean? There are 15 questions. You can't get through the thing. If you guys look at my scripts, and if you go back to day 2, you'll know my scripts are I use the 1 + 1 = method. They're easy. They're easy to say. They're easy to get the hang of. They're a natural conversation. But your conversations need to be quick. The biggest thing I see agents do, I've done a lot of role playing with my group coaching and stuff. I've done a lot of live role playing, and you wouldn't believe it, man. Like, every agent would just go off the script, and they go so far off the script. They'd want to talk about how they're an investor and they buy houses and flip it, and if you just do this and that. And it's like, dude, that has nothing to do with you selling their house. The purpose of you calling, you make money by listing and selling their house. You don't make money by giving them investment advice, right? Every call needs to have a sense of urgency, and conversations need to be quick. They are not social calls. They are calls to see if the person is motivated and the person wants to do business with you. That's it. Now, you can be a nice person, but that's the purpose of the call. The longer you are on the phone with them, the least likely it is you are going to set an appointment. I promise you. Number 3, you have to ask for the appointment. They're not gonna say, hey, Chris. Hey, thank you for that message. Chris said Saturday he jumped on Red X, made 5 calls, set 3 appointments. My scripts work. Dude, they do, man. 14 years of doing this, buddy. But how many of those people, Chris, told you, hey, Chris, you sound like a nice guy. Come on out. Come on out Tuesday at 2. Dude, they're not going to tell you that. They're not going to ask you to come to their house. Rarely. We're talking about probably less than 1% of the people you have calls with are going to tell you that. If you don't ask for the appointment, they're not going to offer the appointment. That's just the way it is. You have to ask for the appointment. And remember earlier we talked about, I want you to ask this week, I want you to ask for the appointment 3 times. It's going to be uncomfortable. I guarantee you it's going to be uncomfortable that first 2 or 3 times you do it. It's going to take you about 8, 10, 12 times, 20 times to really get in the hang of it. But once you get in the hang of asking for the appointment 2, 3 times, letting them shut you down, letting them reject you, it's okay. It's over the phone. Like I said, you don't know these people and they don't know you. You're not begging them. You're just offering them a different solution, right? People don't think. Well, I can't meet you Tuesday, oh, well. I mean, that's typically how most people think. Can't meet you Tuesday. Oh, well, they're not going to offer Wednesday or Thursday. You have to ask for it. If you ask for the appointments, you will get appointments, right? Number 4, if they cancel the appointment, call them again, right? If they cancel on you, remember we talked about this a few minutes ago, you're going to have people, you're going to set so many damn appointments this week. If you do what I tell you guys to do this week, I guarantee you, you're going to set more appointments than you ever set in your life. You're going to have the best listing week and best listing appointment week and best lead week of your real estate career if you do what I'm telling you to do. If they cancel the appointment on you, call them again. If they won't answer the phone, call them from your Google Voice number, right? If they don't answer the phone for you, maybe something's happened. Hey, I got a lady yesterday. Had a great conversation with them the other day. Went and checked out the house. Nobody was living there. She told me where her secret key was hid, right? So this woman likes me, and apparently she trusts me because she told me how to get in the house. The house was vacant, but she told me how to get in the house, told me where the key was hid. I called her yesterday about 2 or 3 o'clock, didn't get her on the phone. I called her about 7:30, didn't get her on the phone. Here's the thing, guys. I'm going to call her again this afternoon, right? I told her I was going to call her back after I looked at the house. I owe her that. I promised her that, right? If they cancel on you or you don't get them on the phone again, keep calling. Number 5. You guys are going to set so many appointments this week. You need to have your calendar, your day planner, however you keep track of what you do. You need to have it up. Have it up at all times. Check your calendar because you don't want – worst thing you can do is schedule appointments where they bump into each other. Schedule appointments where you have conflicts like picking up your kids from school. That's the worst thing you can do because you don't want to be rushed through a listing appointment. You don't want to be rushed to get there and be late because, I mean, that's my biggest, I tell you what, that's one of my biggest pet peeves, and I think that's for a lot of people, is, man, like, I don't want to wait on you, A lot of agents, they go, oh, well, I got to do this at 3, but I can be at their house at 3:15. You can't be in 2 places at once, man. I mean, it's just the way it is, make sure you set the appointments so that you can actually be there and you can be there prepared without rushing through everything. If you got to pick your kids up at 3 o'clock and you set the appointment for 2:30, you're either going to be super rushed through the appointment. You can't be focused on the conversation because you got to go, right? Or your kids are going to be late to school and, somebody's going to be upset with you, either kids or spouse or whatever it is, right? So have your calendar up that way that you can take and you can set appointments at times that actually work for you to set appointments. So guys, I got some time for question and answer. Suzanne says, if you go to the home and they don't have a buyer or any, what would be the best script with the homeowner after you've seen the house? Suzanne, what you do is once you go to the house, you go through the same listing appointment every single time. Go through the same listing appointment every single time. I mean, every listing appointment gets treated the same. You're not doing a different appointment. You're not doing a presentation. You're there for one thing, right? So you send your pre-listing package before you get there. You text them, make sure they got it. You show up to the house. You show up with your active pricing strategy, your net sheet, your paperwork already filled out. You show up ready to do business because these people want to do business with you, right? Lots of times they just have some objections. They have some reservations that you have to overcome. And all those things that we talked about in week 2 and week 3, those are going to help you overcome their reservations before you get there. Monica, yes. When I go to the listing appointment, I bring the listing agreement, try to close the same day. If you won't go back and listen to day 2 and 3. You need to show up to every single listing appointment prepared to do business. You show up with with your active pricing strategy that you can easily explain. You show up with your net sheet. You show up the listing agreement all printed out. I like hard paper. I like to show up with it all filled out, highlighted everywhere to initial and sign. If you do not show up with the paperwork and you have to go back in 2 or 3 days, I'll tell you the thing that happens. I've had it happen to me, and I guarantee somebody on this call has had it happen to them, probably multiple ones of you. You go on Wednesday and you're like, you have an awesome meeting, man. They love you. House is nice, great deal. You say, oh, well, I'll get the paperwork together and and it's what a lot of agents do. I'll call you and we'll set up another time to meet. You call the next day, you meet them on Wednesday, you call Thursday, you don't get them. You call them on Friday, you don't get them. You don't call them over the weekend because for whatever reason, realtors don't think they have to work, on the weekend. You wait and you call them on Monday, and what happens on Monday is, oh, we listed this weekend with so-and-so from such and such office, because you allowed another agent to get in there. You got them ready to go, right? You got them all excited about putting their house on the market. You did all the hard work, and then another guy come in there and closed them because they showed up with the listing paperwork. My listing paperwork here in the state of South Carolina is 11 pages. Okay, that 11 pages, I don't know what it costs me, but print it for my printer at home probably costs me 50 cents, It's going to cost me more to drive over there than it's going to cost me to print out the paperwork and fill it out. And I think you need to go and you need to have it all filled out and ready to go. I think it's a certain level of professionalism, and you're showing them that you're ready to do business. So Kimberly asked, should we continue to call numbers we called days before? I think you need to call people. I think you need to call at least 10, 12, 15 times. Just because they didn't answer the phone, maybe they were at work, maybe they were who knows what. You leaving voicemails is still you having a conversation with them, right? Now, I don't like to count those as follow-ups unless actually follow-ups I actually talk to them or got a text back. But yes, here's the thing to do. Here's the thing to do this week. Okay, if you have, and guys, think about this. If you guys have 2,000 expireds and for sale owners in your market, what would happen? And I believe you can do this because I know my plan and stuff I've laid out for you the last 4 weeks works. What would happen in your business if you could list 1% of the leads that you got? 1% is a pretty low conversion rate, but if you got 2,000 in your market, what would 20 new listings over the next 30, 60 days do for your business? If you only got 750, if you only have 600 or 700, you're probably in a market that's pretty hot. If you got less than 600, 700, right? Probably in a market that's pretty hot, number one, and number two, you're probably in a market that's a little bit higher priced. So, guys, what would it do for your business if you could add just 5 new listings to your business over the next 45 days that are you're in one of these super hot markets and they're $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 listings. Now, continue to call the numbers we called days before. I think you should. I think, if you can get through all of your expireds, all your for sale owners, all your listing leads, if you can get through them the next week, just start over and call them again, right? I think this is a plan, this massive action plan. I really think it's something that we should all be doing like once a month, Yes, Kimberly, RedX does have a 3-line dialer. RedX does have a 3-line dialer, and it dials 3 lines, and it's pretty cool. Just call them. I don't know what the price is right off the top of my head, but call them and ask about it. And if you're using the single line dialer, you want to try it out, they can upgrade you. And if you don't like it, you can move back down to the single line dialer. So now Google phone number. Google Voice has a Google phone number that you can set up the app on your phone and you can use. And sometimes if I'm having trouble with that person I've talked to a bunch of times and for some reason I just can't get them, sometimes I like to use my Google Voice number. It just, breaks things up a little bit. If they're avoiding your call, you know it then. So Monica, I like to print out the CMA. I like to show up with everything printed material. And the reason I like to show it with printed material is sometimes when you're using the iPad, sometimes it's kind of hard to navigate. Sometimes it's hard to pass around the table. Sometimes, even sometimes your clients just aren't that tech savvy, especially with paperwork. Paperwork's the worst because if they're not real tech savvy, they're not used to using an iPad or a tablet, then sometimes it's hard for them to go back through and get your go back through and review the material. So Matt, I'm get to your question, man. I forgot I hadn't scrolled back up yet, but best time to call expires. Guys, the best time to call expires. Now, I'm going to tell you guys what happens in my life, and I guarantee you guys are a lot like this. Okay, the best time for me to call expires is first thing in the morning at 8 o'clock. Here's what happens. I start calling at 8 a.m. and I have a voicemail that I leave on my phone. My voicemail on my phone says that I'm an appointment till 11 a.m. Please text me or leave a voicemail. Okay, that's what it says. I don't call anybody back hardly before 11 a.m. unless it's something like really important. Unless it's something really important, I know who you are. Everything else, there's no emergencies in the real estate business. Your prospecting time is the lifeblood of your business. Once your leads get cut off, right? Once you cut off your lead sources, then it's just a matter of time before you run out of leads. It's like a gas station. Once the gas station stops getting gas delivered, it's only a matter of time before they're out of the gas selling business. If you're a real estate agent and you quit prospecting and you quit looking for lead sources, right? You quit looking for leads and quit working your lead sources, it's just a matter of time before the leads you have run out and you're out of business, just like the gas station, right? So now, for me, the morning works, and I got to do it before things get in the way. Now, if I scheduled for 9 o'clock instead of 8 o'clock, if I scheduled for 9 o'clock, what would happen is something would happen between 8 and 9 o'clock. Whether it's somebody calling me, something I got to do, something I got to run to this, whatever it is. And then next thing I know, it's 10 o'clock. I haven't started prospecting, but I got this other problem or issue or buyer I feel like I got to put out because I got a little anxiety over it. It happens to us. Now, here's the other thing. Now, I will tell you, if you can prospect in the afternoon, it's amazing. You should do it. From 5:30 to 7:30, you get a lot of people home. You're never going to get them at another time, hardly, because they work 8 to 5. However, what happens to me personally is we got a 7-month-old. I know a lot of you guys have kids, you have spouses, significant others, stuff like that. What happens is you go and you work. You go and you work all day. You go through your day's stuff, right? It gets 5, 6 o'clock. You get home. You got to eat dinner. I want to spend time. We got a 7-month-old named Parker. I want to spend time with Parker. And then, 6:30, 7 o'clock, man, I feel like my brain is dead to the world. I don't want to get on the phone and get beat up. So what will happen is, as much as I want to do it, it's not going to happen for me in my life at 5:30, 7:30, right? Because I got family stuff going on. And I feel like a lot of us are in that same, you're in that same position. So you have to time block it. And that's why I believe you have to do it first thing in the morning. Now I will tell you, I don't think it's a bad thing to do some afternoons, especially, massive prospecting weeks. Sunday afternoons are fantastic, guys. There's a ton of people, especially football's over now. You're going to get a lot of people at home. They're just hanging out, getting ready for the week. Saturday mornings, 9 to 11, 8 to 11, fantastic days to make calls, right? So, let's see. When you rule out calling a listed based on, I rule out calling quality type. You know what? Land, it just depends on the market. I mean, here's the thing. Land is selling in your market. It might not be selling for the prices you see it on MLS, but I guarantee you somebody out there is buying lots, whether it's a local home builder or something. There's a certain amount of lots being sold. There's a certain ratio of lots being sold to lots being listed, right? If I were you, and here's the thing, I'll tell you this, lot listings, nobody calls them. Like, nobody calls lot listings because people think they won't sell. But I guarantee you, if you look up on your MLS, there are lots and land tracts that are selling. So, me personally, I've always liked working with land. I think it's, it either is it or it isn't. You're not arguing over the color of the bathroom. So now Debbie asked, how do you do CMA without seeing the home first? You need the condition of the home and what to compare it to. Now, Debbie, the thing I do, if you look at my scripts, the thing I do is I ask a lot of questions about the condition, age of the home, and stuff like that. If you're calling expireds, you even have pictures. You just got to pull them up on MLS. So what I like to do is I like to set the appointment, go do my research, and then call back with any question. Now, here's the thing. If you take and set an appointment, you're doing the CMA, you're doing the active pricing strategy, guys. And if you don't know what that is, you got to go back and listen to the video. But you're pricing based on the actives. Now, here's the thing: pricing based on the actives is simple economics. It's simple supply and demand. It's just like if you're buying bed sheets from J.C. Penney. You show up at J.C. Penney or Sears or whatever your preference store is, Belk's, and they don't have the sheets you want to buy for the price you want to pay, then you've got one of two options. You either wait till they go on sale. Well, you got three options. You wait till they go on sale, you go to a different store, or you up the price you're willing to pay, right? So buyers are the same way. A buyer seriously looking in today's market, if the house they want to buy isn't in their area for the price they want to pay, they've got three options. They either wait and hope one goes on sale, and we all know the way our market's going right now, if one goes on sale, there's going to be a problem with the condition of it more than likely, right? If one goes on sale, it's a fixer-upper typically. So they either are going to have to wait till one goes on sale, go to a different area, or go back to the lender and see if they can get approved for a little more money. Now, here's the thing. If they go to a different area, man, they might not be in the school district they want to be in. They might not be, down the street from their parents. They might not be, whatever it is they want to do. It might not be close to work, but that's the way it is. So that's the way I price based on actives. And here's the thing too, when you're looking at these houses and stuff, the house that sold 6 months ago, the buyer looking today can't really go back and buy that house. Even if they do go back and try to buy that house, it's probably not going to be for the same price it sold for 6 months ago. It's probably going to be for more. If it does come back on the market within a reasonable time in the next 60 to 90 days, it's probably not going to be the price they were looking for. It's not going to be the price it sold for, that's for sure. So I believe you price based on the active strategy. That's why, and the condition is one thing. What I think is a clean, well-maintained house may be different than what you think it is. And for sure, it's different than what some of the general public thinks it is. I've seen all kind of things in people's houses. So, but here's the thing, like if you take and if you use three columns, I like to put the price I want to list it for in the middle. And you show up and house is a little bit nicer than what they told you. They didn't mention they got brand new hardwood floors all the way through it. I don't know about you guys. I'd pay a little more money for hardwood floors over carpet. I'd pay a little bit more money for a brand new roof and a new air conditioner versus a 20-year-old roof and a 20-year-old air conditioner, right? You show up, the house is a little bit better. That high column covers you. You show up, house has got a pet odor and the carpet looks freaking gross. You don't want to walk across the carpet barefooted. You tell them about it. And you say, guys, you probably need to go with the lower column here, right? So you give yourself a little bit of room for adjustment by using three columns in the CMA. But here's the thing. You show up prepared and you want to do business and you got a plan. That's what sellers are looking for. They want to work with the agent they can trust, an agent that has a plan. Just like when you go to a doctor. I compare ourselves to doctors all the time. I compare ourselves to doctors, attorneys, and dentists, things of that nature, because I hold the profession that I am in on the same regards. I believe that we are helping somebody with the biggest financial decision that they will ever make. I believe that not only do you need some technical ability, which so does a doctor, so does an attorney, so does a dentist, you need knowledge, and you need to, if you don't know, you at least know where to ask, right? So I believe that in my mind that we are on the same level as those. We might not need the education, we might not have the student loans, but we're on the same level as them. Okay, when you go to a doctor, if you went to the doctor with a health problem and they told you they had to have surgery and they referred you to 2 surgeons, which one would you use? Would you use the guy that says, hey man, we're just going to get in there and we'll do exploratory surgery. We're just going to kind of fiddle around in there and see what's in there and see what works or doesn't? Or would you go to the doc, or would you rather use the doctor that goes, hey Jason, I've dealt with this before. We're going to do step 1, step 2, step 3. It's going to be a 2-week recovery, and this is what's going to happen. Which doctor do you feel more comfortable about? Which realtor do you feel more comfortable with? The one that shows up with the CMA, the net sheet, all the paperwork, is professional, sent over their pre-listing package so you know what their marketing plan is, or the agent that shows up and just kind of wings it? You get to the point where you feel like you got to kick them out because they've been sitting on your couch for 2 hours. It's either you got to kick them out or they got to stay for dinner because something's got to happen. Which agent do you want to use? So guys, I appreciate you guys being on the call with me today. It's fantastic. 4 weeks. If I can help you, just send me a message. If you want more, if you like what I've told you, you feel like this is working for you, you feel like these last 2 or 3 weeks, 4 weeks have really helped you and changed your business, I offer group coaching. Message me. You go to jasonmorrisgroupcoaching.com and sign up. Guys, and I hope this next week, I hope that you guys that committed to me will follow through on what your commitments were. Don't let me down, guys. Don't let me down. And I hope that this next week will be the best. I guarantee if you do what we talked about today, I guarantee this next week in your real estate business will be the best listing week you have ever had. So guys, you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you later.